Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for stopping in. So today, ho ho ho, I'm going to be going over my TBR for the Christmas Evil Readathon. And I've also got a lot of recommendations for you as well if you need maybe a little help finding something to read for our really fun prompt board that we've got for the month. So I announced this recently. If you missed it, of course, I'll link it below, and I'll link all the other co-hosts and all the details, all the nitty-gritty. I will put down below for you to peruse and check it out. And I hope that you'll join us for the readathon to kind of help us get through this holiday, get through the end of the year, get through the holidays. It was just a really fun kind of Christmassy, holiday, wintry themed horror readathon. I mean, what more can you ask for, right? Okay, so again, I'll go through what I'm going to read and then give you some recommendations, and hopefully, you'll be able to find something that you want to read. All right, let's go. Okay, so for the first prompt is, of course, the Black Christmas, right? The classic Christmas slasher movie. And that's to read a book featuring black magic or something to do with the occult, something like that. And I'm going to plan to read The Vessel by Adam Neville. Recently got this in a Nightworms. And in putting together my TBR, I was like, I kind of probably should pick maybe some short-ish books because, you can get a bit busy during the holidays, especially, as you get towards the end of the year. So let me pick some short ones. So as far as the Adam Neville book goes, this is definitely short, and it sounds really great. So there's this woman, Jess, who's struggling with money, raising a child by herself, fleeing a volatile ex, accepts a job caring for an elderly patient named Flo Gardner. She's a disturbed shut-in and invalid. But if she can hold this job down, she can start a new life, right? So Flo lives in this big, fast home called Nerthus House. It resembles a stately vicarage in an idyllic village, but the interior is a labyrinth, cluttered warren filled with pagan artifacts. So that right there tells me we may get some kind of maybe some dark magic or maybe some occult stuff going on. And this cover is banging. I love it. It's so amazing. I'm like, is this Flo? I'm not sure, but it sounds good to me. So I'm gonna go for that one. And so some recommendations that I put down. If you have not read The Hay Bale by Priscilla Bettis yet, you need to. It is a folk horror, but I'd say it definitely kind of plays into that kind of maybe dark magic or occult type things. And it's a short one. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, I believe. That's how I read it anyway. And it's amazing. It's so good. So if you're looking for something short, I definitely would recommend that. I recently read Nana by Brandon Massey. Definitely some occult stuff going on in here with a crazy Nana who's coming to take, kind of move her way into this family. It was so good. I wanted to recommend Black Creek Crossing by John Saul. I could not find the book on my shelf because my shelves are a hot mess, but this is definitely a kind of dark magic book, witchy vibes, and I really enjoyed it. About family moving into a house, maybe more than meets the eye. It was really good. I liked this one a lot. I would be remiss to not mention Rosemary's Baby, I think, by Ira Levin, the classic horror book about Satanists. You can't get much more occult than that, right? And, of course, this young couple moves into an apartment building. The woman gets pregnant and is sort of being taken care of by some elderly neighbors. Again, more than meets the eye. Am I right? I love it. It's so good. Another Adam Neville book I'd like to recommend is Last Days. This is a longer one, though. It's a chunky one, but I really liked this one. Definitely some, kind of dark occult. I don't say witchy, but definitely some dark cult vibes going on in this one. Super spooky. I really liked this one a lot also. And last but not least, I'd like to recommend Devil's Creek by Todd Kiesling. Definitely occult, dark kind of magic, little cosmic horror thrown in there. Oh, I love this book. This, kind of old preacher type character who has this cult up in the mountains, and it's the whole thing, and it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, really loved that one. Okay, so the next prompt is Krampus. Of course, you can't have a December themed readathon without mentioning Krampus, I think. That's to read, a creature feature or a book with a monster, something like that. So I am going to plan to finally dig into Parasite. This is a Japanese manga by Hitoshi Iwaki. Let me see, it's translated by Andrew Cunningham. And so read the back really quickly. They arrive in silence and darkness. They descend from the skies. They have a hunger for human flesh. They are everywhere. They are parasites, alien creatures who, to survive, must invade and take control of a human host. So it goes from there, but that's kind of the vibe, right? And even just the cover is like so creepy. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, mangas read pretty quickly, and so I'm thinking that maybe some time constraints I may have, and I think it's a perfect time to give Parasite a try. So I'm really looking forward to it. This cover is just eyeballs on their fingers. I love it. So yeah, looking forward to that. So some recommendations. I think, again, remiss to not mention Nosferatu by Joe Hill. And it's chunky, but well worth your time. I really love this book. It's vampire-ish type of story, so definitely kind of a monster creature in here. This guy named Charlie Manx is the kind of the villain, and he basically kind of kidnaps children and takes them to a place called Christmas Land. So yeah, it's thematic for the season, but it's fantastic. It's really, really good. The main character, what's her name? Yeah, Vic. She's got this thing where she rides her bike and kind of transports herself to like a different place. And it's hard to kind of describe, but it's really, really good. And honestly, do the audiobook. It's a narrative by Kate Mulgrew. She rocks it. It's so good. The audiobook's amazing. And the way she voices Charlie Manx is just, it's so good. But yeah, if you haven't read this one yet, it's the perfect time of year to do it. So if you're thinking maybe shorter, like, so I don't have a lot of time in December, Queen of Teeth by Haley Piper, I think, is a good choice for this one. Nice and short. We've got a girl, a girl named Yaya. She wakes up one morning and she's got teeth growing in her vagina, but her teeth that turns into something more, and there's a whole kind of conspiracy theory with corporate things. So who is the real monster here? I think that's the question. And I love this book. I loved it so much, and it's a quick read, so yeah, definitely give it a go. If you may be looking for some short stories, I can't recommend this enough. This is Not All Monsters. It's an anthology edited by Sarah Tanglinger, and it's a women in horror book, and it tackles the monsters of all sorts of kinds of monsters that are maybe more human-like, but all the stories in here were really good. Honestly, this is an excellent collection. There's authors K.P. Kulski, Haley Piper's in here again, Joanna Cox in here, Leslie Weberly. I mean, all kinds of good ladies. The cover's amazing. Yeah, so perfect. I love this one. Another short one is Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. It's about a werewolf. Werewolf's a classic monster, yeah. And this is a super short book. It's got really cool illustrations. I think it'd be a fun time to read it at the end of the year because it goes through a year. So each chapter is basically like the month. Goes through 1 month. So yeah, you can work your way quickly through the year. I think that would be a fun way to kind of end the year, like I said. So, and it's about a werewolf, so pretty fun. Yeah, pretty fun. What else did I have picked out for this? I wanted to mention Swamp monster. Massacre by Hunter Shea. I mean, Hunter Shea is kind of the king of creature features, I think, these days. And this one was so much fun. So if you're looking for something that's not set in a cold setting, maybe you're like suffering with the cold already. This one's set down there in Florida and in a swamp, and it's about swamp Bigfoots. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. So those are some fun recommendations. Okay, so the next prompt was, of course, Christmas Carol, that classic story. And that's to read, of course, about a haunted house or something with ghosts, some kind of haunting or ghosty thing, right? And I'm going to try to dig into Frozen Charlotte. And this is by Alex Bell. It's a middle grade. Again, just trying to think about books I could actually get through. And I wanted to show this because, whoa, Charlotte is cold. Yeah, so that looks really spooky already. Looks really spooky. So let's see. So when her best friend dies under mysterious circumstances, Sophie sets off to stay with her cousins on the remote Isle of Skye. It's been years since she last saw them. So there's Cameron, Piper, and little Lilius, whatever. Strange rules here. Cameron has an accident. Never leave the front gate unlocked. Above all, don't speak of the girl who's no longer there, the sister whose death might have closer ties to Sophie's past, and more sinister consequences for her future than she ever knew. That sounds really spooky for a middle grade book, and yeah, that sounds pretty fun. Okay, so for some recommendations for this one, and honestly, if you've not read Christmas Carol yet, I would recommend it. It's really good. I read it for the first time, I think last year. Last year, I think I read it for the first time. And even though you know the story of Christmas Carol, like we all know it, right? We've seen the Muppet versions, we've seen the Mr. Magoo versions, like we've seen it all, right? But it was still really cool to actually read the story, and I really enjoyed it. So if you've not read Christmas Carol yet, it's the perfect time of year, of course. So definitely would recommend to read it if you haven't yet. So, but some other kind of haunting, spooky books. Sundown Motel I thought was really good. It was quite spooky in parts. So in its kind of dual timeline, we've got a girl who's going back to upstate New York, and her aunt had disappeared, had gone to this place and disappeared, and so she's kind of going back to find out what's going on. It revolves around this motel, and spooky vibes, possibly ghost vibes. It was really good. It's a very quick read, and so you can get through it pretty quickly, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like this one a lot. A bit on the chunkier side, but I can't recommend enough, is The Good House by Tanana Reevdu. I love this book. It's one of my favorite horror books. But it deals a lot with grief, it deals a lot with sort of spirits and things that may be left behind. Bit of witchy vibes, actually, so could possibly work for the Black Christmas prompt also, I would say. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say too much more about it because I think you just need to read it. Everyone just needs to read this book. It's so good. It's so good. And there's some sections in here that like really creeped me out. That's always effective, right? Okay, so what's next? Look at my list here. I don't want to forget anything. Oh yeah, if you have not read Patience of a Dead Man yet by Michael Clark, oh, I love this book. It is definitely spooky, haunted house, ghost vibes. It is so good. There are some scenes in here that legitimately creeped me out. So one of the things that actually do really scare me are like haunted house stories. Like they really do scare me, and this one was no exception. And I love this book. This house, this guy he's divorced, he moves into this old house, he's like gonna renovate it and sell it, that kind of thing. And but there's this lady Mildred living there that she's not too happy about it. So oh my god, Mildred was great. I love this book. Okay, so also Hill House by Richard Matheson, classic, right? But yeah, this team goes to what is known as Hell House to investigate, is it haunted or not? And this book went to some places I wasn't quite expecting. And I really enjoyed this book. I liked it much better than I liked I Am Legend by this author. Yeah, I liked this book. It was kind of crazy. And I just liked it. But it's really kind of a classic kind of haunted house type of story. So if you haven't read it yet, it'd be a good option. Oh, I wanted to recommend Scratches by Joshua Marcellus. It's another kind of short novella. Again, if you're looking for something short to read, I like this one. Had some good spooky vibes too. So, a woman and her son, like a teenage son, are moved into their old family house. The father has passed away. The father was basically a son of a bitch, and but maybe his spirit is lingering. So, it's pretty good. I liked it a lot. And then if you read the second book, it just gives you a whole new layer. But start with Scratches because it was pretty spooky. Yeah. Okay. So the next prompt is to read a gifted book. Of course, I can't really pick out books for you, but I'm going to read Mandy by Stephanie Sparks. This was gifted to me by Kelly from Kelly Hooked on Books, so I thought it would be appropriate for this readathon, and it's pretty short too. So Mandy is not like other girls. I think this is a YA. I'm not sure. So she's awoken one night by a stranger at her door. She reluctantly lets him in. A girl? He's begging for help for his friend who was killed in a drunk driving accident. Oh, Mandy taps into her secret gift to bring Robbie back from the dead. Oh, okay. That sounds fun. Okay, yeah, I'm down for that. Okay, so the next prompt is the middle square of the bingo board, and that's a mood read. So I can't really pick out a mood read for you too, but I've got a couple of things here to show you. Maybe get you in the Christmassy mood. But I'm gonna finally hope to dig into Snow by Ronald Malfi. This I'm plugging into my mood read because I've been wanting to read this for years now. I've had it on my shelf for at least a couple of years. This is like a special edition of it that I got in a Nightworms box. Why haven't I read it yet, girl? I don't know. But anyway, and I want to read it because it takes place around Christmas. So Todd Curry wants nothing more than to spend Christmas with his son, but he gets stuck in a brutal snowstorm, canceling his flight. So there's him and a few other passengers that decide to rent a Jeep and try to get to where they're going to go. Driving in the snow, they pick up a man wandering in the snow who is searching for his lost daughter. He seems disoriented and just strange. Something strange, right? And so they get to a nearby town, and it appears deserted, and there's just craziness going on. So that sounds really great, and it takes place at Christmassy time. It's a snowy book. I mean, I need to read it, right? So I'm gonna try to get to that one finally this month. And I really want to show you a couple of like Christmassy horror books. That maybe you would be in the mood for. And actually I haven't read this one yet, but I did want to show it, and maybe I'll read a story or two from it this month in December. It could be fun. But this is volume 5, so I guess there's other volumes, the Valancourt book of Victorian Christmas ghost stories. I love that cover, that like skeleton wreath. It just sounds really fun. So there was that sort of classic tradition of reading ghost stories on Christmas Eve, I think, right? So these could be really fun to dig into. So maybe I'll do that. Even if just I read just get into a couple of them, it could be fun. Also, I want to recommend Season's Creepings. Tales of Holiday Horror. This is by Ronald Kelly. I read this last Christmas. It's short. It's like a short story collection, all themed around the holidays, and it's super fun, and of course very thematic, and an awesome cover. And this was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it. It's just a lot of fun to dig into, and it's just fun. So if you're if you're looking for Christmas horror specifically, this is a good choice. And I wanted to talk about this one. This is like one of the Goosebumps Most Wanted, but it's the 12 Screams of Christmas. This one was a lot of fun too. I think I read this one maybe 2 Christmases ago. Maybe I read it last Christmas. I can't remember now, but yeah, it's a Goosebumps book. But it's set at Christmas time, and it's fun. It's Goosebumps, right? So that one was a lot of fun. And there's also what's the name of it? I wrote it down. Hark, the Herald Angels Scream. I read that one either last year or Christmas before. I can't remember now. But it's another short story collection with some horror themed Christmas stories, and it was a lot of fun too. So if you're looking for Christmassy horror, if you're in the mood, recommend those. Those are some that I have read. So okay, so the next prompt is sleigh bells. Of course, that's to read a slasher. So I'm going to try to get into this one, A Cold Place for Dying by Christopher Triana. I think it's slasher-ish. Anyway, I'm going to use it because right here on the back, it's Christmas Eve. So I'd like to read it this month. This guy has lost his wife, and so he's going out into the woods to hunt deer. It's New England, so there's definitely going to be snowy. He's wanting to, kind of just, he's grieving, right? So he gets into the woods, and then his peace is interrupted by Nicole, a frantic woman running barefoot through the snow, who claims that she was kidnapped and has managed to escape. But the man had kidnapped her, is chasing her, and so he wants to help, but he comes across this guy named Dan. But Dan says he's not the kidnapper, that he's her husband. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a thing. It seems like it's possibly slasher-ish. I mean, I'm going to call it anyway. It definitely is wintry, Christmassy. Yeah, I've had it on my shelf for a little while, and I've been wanting to read some more Christopher Triana, so why not? I think this one could be fun for you. Now, if you are in, most of us here in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, are going to be dealing with some cold weather, so maybe you want to try to warm up. I would recommend Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. I really liked this one a lot. It is a crazy, bonkers-ass slasher book, but it is a lot of fun. And as you can see, it takes place on this sort of tropical island. I think it's in the Caribbean. It doesn't say on the back, but I think it's a Caribbean place. And so our main characters are this family, a family of 4, who have won this vacation to go to the Paradise Club, and basically all hell breaks loose with slashers slashing the hell out of everybody on the island. And it's just a ton of fun. It really is. So, quick read, lots of gore and blood. So if you're looking for that, it's really fun. And then the ending was like, what? So yeah, I like this one. It was a lot of fun. Another one I'd like to recommend is Standalone by Paul Michael Anderson. Paper drop. I don't hear too many people talking about this one, but I had a lot of fun with this one. It is a kind of sci-fi slasher. So if you're into kind of like multiverse type stories, you may like this one. But we're following this guy who it's hard to explain it without really spoiling it, but I'll just say he's got to slash his way through things to try to save his family, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I had a lot of fun with this one, and it's just a kind of a twist on the slasher, really, because of the kind of sci-fi edge to it, and I liked it. I had a lot of fun with this one, so definitely recommend it. It's a short one. Slashers usually read pretty quickly too, so yeah, it was a fun one. I liked it. Also, I would like to recommend The Final Women by Party Bajula. I loved this book. I thought it was really just so well done. It really plays along the final girl trope, of course, slashers. I just had a really good time with that one. I'd like to recommend Cover by Jack Ketchum. I think this is definitely slasher vibes. And this Vietnam vet who was like basically isolated himself into the woods. He's like living out of a tent because he's just having a hard time readjusting to life after serving in Vietnam, and his sort of peace is disturbed by this really these yuppie, really gross characters. There's 5 or 6 just like I say yuppie types that are like, oh my god, right? They're just totally distraught. He just like, hell no, all y'all gonna die. And so it's like there's like Rambo vibes too, because he sets up these like traps and stuff. I don't know, I liked it, but there's also some commentary, of course, of veterans and PTSD and acclimated back into the real world, that kind of stuff that is dealt with in here. Terrors of war. I liked it. I liked Cover Paradise Club. Oh, and if again something short, and if you're into some poetry, I Am Not Your Final Girl by Claire Holland. Even though it's not necessarily slasher, like a slasher book, the poems are themed around like final girls and slasher from like horror slasher movies. I think it would be a really fun thing to read this time of year. Again, because it's quick, you can work really good, and if it really kind of plays on that final girl. That whole final girl trope, right? So if you're into slasher movies, it definitely would be fun to work your way through those poems, and I thought they were really well done. And you can get that on Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, so there's tons of slashers out there, but those are just a few recommendations for me. Okay, so Winter Wonderland is our next one, and that is of course a book set in the winter time. And I'm going to try to finally get to Maynard's House. I've been trying to read this for years and years and years. I picked up a copy, I don't know, a few months ago. I don't know, one of the book outlet hauls I've done this year, and I want to read this. It also has haunted house vibes, so it could work for the Christmas Carol one. But and also, funny enough, it has a Vietnam veteran in here, and so this man, like I say, he's a Vietnam vet, and a buddy that that he met in the war has passed away, and gifts him this sort of cabin, or this house in the woods of northern Maine. So we're definitely like in the thick of like a wintry setting here, and so he goes to check it out. And I think it's sort of a haunted house vibes. Like I said, there's little by little the mysterious force in the house asserts itself until Austin, who's the character, isn't exactly sure what's in his mind and what is real. So it just sounds amazing. And then there's a blizzard arrives, of course. So it just sounds really good. And I just, like I said, I've been dying to read it, and because this came out, I think, what was the year? Yeah, 1980s. I mean, this has definitely been around a while, so I want to get to it. So I'm going to plan to get to it. I mean, set in the winter, would be remiss again to not mention a couple of King books, right? Misery, of course, and The Shining, both really awesome winter set horror books. The Shining, of course, will work for the haunting prompt also. Jack Torrance and his family are going to the Overlook Hotel to keep it over the winter, and then all work and no play makes Jack a little boy, and hell breaks loose. I love this book. There was definitely some scenes in here also that scared me. This is a book that really scared me. So yeah, I love The Shining, and I love Misery too. I think Misery is one of King's top books. The writer Paul Sheldon has an accident in the snow and is rescued by his #1 fan. Of course, the pivotal Annie Wilkes, right? She's such a great character, but she is keeping him hostage to write a book, and it's really good. But a few others, I mean, The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. I love this book. Could also work for prompt 1, the Dark Magic book. I think it's definitely got some witchy vibes here. So it could definitely work for that one also, that I'm thinking about it. But it is set in Vermont, I think. Let me make sure. Yeah, Vermont. And we go through several timelines that are based around this house. And this kind of rock formation that's behind the house is called the Devil's Hand. It's just good. I don't even want to say anymore because you just need to read it. If you haven't read this one yet, whoa, it's so good. It's so good. Definitely winter vibes, spooky vibes. Oh, it's really, really good. Really, really good. What else did I have on here? A chunky book, but The Terror by Dan Simmons. I mean, you can't get any more wintry setting than The Terror. We follows 2 ships that are stranded up in the Arctic Circle as they're trying to kind of make their way through, and they're just stuck in the ice for like 3 years or something. But they also are battling this kind of snow creature, and it's really, really good. I loved this book when I read it. I think did we read it last year? There's also just scenes of like there's starvation, sickness, those kinds of things are described really well. It's really good. It's really, really good. And also Stranded by Bracken McLeod is another kind of stranded type of story of people stranded on a boat. But it was pretty good too. It also has kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Time vortex vibes. So it's pretty good. All right, let's get moving. This video is way so long. Okay, so the next one is Santa's Little Helper, and that's, of course, to read a middle grade book. So I have a few here. I've got a few. I'm going to try to read this one because, I mean, when else am I going to read a vampire who came for Christmas? I mean, I know no other better time to read this book than now. So, yeah. This is by Diane Curtis Reagan. And it looks amazing. So, Ben's got a secret. He's got a real live vampire living in his attic. So, it sounds like a lot of fun. For wintry vibes, I mean, Dead Voices by Catherine Arden, of course. This is the second book in her sort of seasonal series that she's done. But this one is set at a sort of ski lodge type of place, and the characters that we meet in book one are here, and they get stranded in this hotel kind of place. And yeah, it was really good. This one was really good. It's middle grade, but it's got some good spooky vibes, and again, set in the winter, perfect time to read it. I mean, you can't go wrong with any kind of goosebumps for middle grade, of course, also. So, I've got Sad the Basement, but any kind of the goosebumps would work. I really loved Legend of Skeleton Man by Joseph Bruchac. It's an indigenous author dealing with sort of indigenous lore of the skeleton man and this little kid, dealing with him. I really liked this one a lot. Watch Hollow was really good. This is by Gregory Fornaro. Another kind of spooky house vibes. How to describe this one? It's all kinds of things around this clock that's in this house. That's all I'll say. But this family kind of moves in to try to repair this clock that has like powers. It was really good. This maybe gives more autumnal vibes, but it was a good book, and there is a second book to it also. I'm not remembering the name of it, but it was good too. And I love this book, Ghost Squad by Clarabelle Ortega. Oh, I love this one. I love this book so much. It is so damn cute. Because look, they're adorable. Yes. So, oh my gosh. So it's a short before Halloween, but you could read it anytime. It definitely has some magic vibes in here. There's like a grandmother figure in here who gives off some witchy vibes, and these girls, they try, what's the story again? So, oh yeah, that's the haunting, that's right, yeah. They go to figure out this haunting. It's cute, it's a thing, I love it. I would recommend it. Ran out of space. All right. Okay. Make sure I get everything. All right. So the last prompt, of course, is Reindeer Ride, and that's to read a translated book or a book by a non-U.S. author. And so I've got some translated fiction here. I am going to plan to read. Oh, I got a couple of books because I'm not quite sure what I'll be in the mood for. So I picked a couple. I picked The Undesired by Ursa Sigurdardóttir. Sigurdardóttir, I'm pretty sure. I looked up how to say it. I think this is an Icelandic story, translated from Icelandic by Victoria Cribb. And this is more sort of a crime type of story, but it is set in Iceland, and I think it is wintry vibes. That sounds really good. And these kind of stories do tend to, I think, kind of read pretty quickly also. Again, thinking of time constraints I may have. So with this person in Aldous, I'm not sure if it's a woman or not, but working in a juvenile detention center when she witnesses something deeply disturbing in the middle of the night. Decades later, we get a single father looking into alleged abuse at this center. So they're digging into that. I'm guessing they kind of team up and try to figure out what's going on. But it says after reading, you might want to sleep with the light on, so could be good. It says utterly atmospheric, got under my skin. I mean, it sounds pretty great. This is an author I've not read yet, so it could be tons of fun, right? Yeah, that sounds great to me. But I also have this one that I've been dying to read too, The Good Son by Yu Jung. This is a Korean author. He translated by Chi Young Kim. So this is about, this man wakes up and he's mom is like dead on the floor, blood everywhere, and he's like, whoa, what's going on? But he has this thing with like seizures and like passing out and like memory, loss of memory, and so I think he tries to figure out what's going on. And I've heard awesome things about this book. I've just not gotten into it yet. It is short, so this could be an option too. So I'm not quite sure which one I'll be in the mood for. So I picked up both of them. But for a couple of translated ones, I recently read The Hellbound, and I loved it. This is by Young Sung Ho and Choi Gyu Suk. It's translated by Danny Lim. And this is a Korean manhwa, so it's a graphic work. So again, you can work through pretty quickly. I have started the Netflix series. It's really good too. But this is sort of about these, how to say it. So the general gist is that people are getting these sort of notifications that in such and such a time frame, you will be dragged to hell by these like hell creatures right here. And so it's got that, and there's like this cult vibe, and there's a detective side to it. It's really, really good. It's kind of hard to explain, but I really enjoyed it. And so if you're looking for a Korean manhwa to read, that could be really good. I mean, you can't not mention Junji Ito, of course. I picked up Fragments of Horror here, but he's got so many manga stories. This is one of his short story collections, but this one is translated by not the front. Okay, I was looking at the back. Hold on. Translated by Jocelyn Allen. Can't really go wrong. Junji Ito. And also there's Tinders the Flesh by Agustina Basterica. Translated from Spanish by Sarah Moses. This is, cannibalism becomes a part of our day-to-day human life. It's a fascinating read. I loved this book. And it's actually pretty short. I flew through it. So you possibly would also. And I did also want to mention Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. I love this book. It is so creepy. It's about these little like furry not creatures, they're toys. They're like cute little toys. But they have technology inside where you can either be someone that views through their eyes at someone, or you buy them with the purpose of being the person that's viewed. Does that make sense? So there's like this sort of relationship that's going on with like strangers on the internet. It's super creepy because it's under the guise of these like cute fuzzy little things. I really liked this. I really liked that story. So I would definitely recommend it. And Samantha Schweblin is an Argentinian author. I didn't get that translator because I don't have that on this book, but it was really good. Yeah, so I think that's it. This video is so long. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to edit it because... But anyway, so those are just some options for their readathon. I hope that you'll be able to find something for the prompts. Again, if you need something, and if any of these don't float your boat, I can try to let me know if I can look up something else for you, or let me know. I hope that you're going to participate with us, and yeah, that's going to do it today. So those are my plans, and again, I hope you'll join us. I'll leave all the information below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.